Welcome back, everybody. We are getting right into the MLB because guess what? It is 6 days away from beginning our spring training. Tyler is our main baseball guy, and of course, he wants to tell you all about it. So let's hear about it, Tyler.
Hell yeah. Position players report to spring training camp this week. So we're just going to see the first full squad workouts happening here pretty soon. And then in a couple more weeks, we'll have our first spring training game starting. So we're getting into it, boys. So we previewed the American League East and Central. Now we're going to get in the last division, the American League West. And this one is, I think, probably the most intriguing division in the American League. A lot of interesting storylines going on in this one. So let's get into it. We're going to start off with the reigning American League West champions, the Oakland Athletics. In 2020, they won the division with a 36-24 record. They ended up losing to the Astros in the ALDS. In the offseason, they traded for shortstop Elvis Andrus. They also lost two of their big players, Marcus Semien and their closer, Liam Hendricks, to free agency. Oakland A's don't really sign free agents that much. They're pretty strapped payroll-wise, so they got to rely on their farm system and trades to kind of make their team. Their projected rotation will look at Chris Bassett, Jesus Luzardo, Frankie Montez, Sean Manaea, and Mike Fiers. Their projected lineup: catcher Sean Murphy, first baseman Matt Olson, second baseman Tony Kemp, shortstop Elvis Andrus, third baseman Matt Chapman, and the outfielders Ramon Laureano, Mark Canha, and Stephen Piscotty, and their DH is Mitch Moreland. The bad for this A's team, though those two free agents they lost are pretty big hits. And bullpen-wise, I don't know if this team is as deep as they used to be. They actually lost quite a bit of other bullpen arms to other teams as well. The good is they're starting pitching. They're young. They're talented. If they can stay healthy, this is one of the best rotations in that league. And Matt Chapman is back. So that'll be huge for them, having their star third baseman back in that lineup. So James, I'm asking you about this A's team. We all like the A's starting pitching. It's pretty solid 1 through 5 there. But I want to talk about the offense a little bit. They had a pretty shaky season last year, kind of underperformed a little bit. Do you think this offense bounces back and will have a good 2021?
No. Main reason why they didn't add to that at all. In fact, they lost. Is Elvis Andrus better than Marcus Semien? No. Marcus Semien is one of the better shortstops in this league offensively. He did have a down year last year, but on average, he's still a 254 hitter. He's a good player. One person you did not mention is Chris Davis, who's also gone from that team as a DH. He had a tough last year with 2 home runs, but he was a power guy. He had 48 home runs 2 years ago, and he's averaged throughout his time in the big leagues, he's averaging 31 a year, not counting this last season because this last season was shorter. But the fact of the matter is that's a lot of home runs that's going out the window. And you're adding Mitch Moreland from the Red Sox, I believe, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, and he doesn't really touch those numbers. He's a good player too, but the fact of the matter is they didn't add as much as they needed to keep that lineup in games offensively. So yeah. Oh, also Tommy La Stella. People don't mention him, but they traded for him late in the season. He's now with the Giants, but he was decent. He had power. He could hit home runs, and he could get on base at a decent rate too. And so now you're losing a utility guy on the edge of that as well. Did they get better? No.
Gotcha. So even with Matt Chapman back in that lineup, you don't think this A's team will be better offensively?
Matt Chapman was in that lineup for the majority of the year. He just he got injured towards the last 3 weeks of it. So the last 3 weeks isn't going to make up for the entire year. You got to look at the entire year's numbers, and even then they still struggled. They were the best team in the AL West, but they weren't. They got to replicate that same stuff again, and I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think this A's team offensively is an interesting one. I think they can be better than they've done. So we'll see what happens this season. With that being said, with that offense kind of in question, do you see this team as a postseason team this season?
No, I don't. I think they finished third in the division. Uh, Main reason why is because their bullpen did get worse. Hendricks, I was a huge fan of that guy. He's from Australia, really cool. But they lost him, and he was a big part of that. He was in almost all their games at the end. And yeah, their start pitching is good, but they're young. And what happens with younger pitchers is that they often get in their heads. And so that bad string of games, they'll need to be saved by their bullpen, which is not as strong as it used to be. And with an offense that underperforms, I don't think it's a recipe for success this season.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the A's team does. I think this division is going to be really tight. So moving on to the Houston Astros, they finished second in 2021, or sorry, in 2020, with a 29-31 record. They lost to the ALC in the ALCS to the Rays in 7 games. Off season weren't very busy. They really just lost George Springer to free agency. Other than that, they really didn't do a whole lot. Their projected rotation: Zach Greinke, Lance McCullers, Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, and Jose Uridi. Their projected lineup will be catcher Jason Castro, first baseman Yuli Gurriel, second baseman Jose Altuve, shortstop Carlos Correa, third baseman Alex Bregman, outfielders Michael Brantley, Kyle Tucker, Miles Straw, and their DH is Jordan Alvarez. The bad for this team, the pitching is a big question mark. They, have lost Justin Verlander injury. They lost Garrett Cole, of course, a couple seasons ago. This isn't the same pitching team as they once were. Zach Greinke's getting up there in age. Lance McCullers Jr. We'll see what we get out of him. Other than that, their depth is kind of lacking. Of course, the cheating scandal I think still looms a little bit with this team as well. They still got, Altuve, Correa, Bregman. Those guys are all involved with that. The good is they got Dusty Baker as their leader. I think he's one of the best managers of all time. And he really kind of, I think, helped this team and will this team to make it as far as they did in the postseason. So he's a huge leader for that team. And the young core is mostly still intact, minus George Springer, who left. So they're still got some offensive firepower on this team for sure. So Trade, and I want to ask you a couple questions about this Astros team. First being the signing and stealing scandal. We've talked a lot about it, but I don't know if they're completely past it yet. So I want to know, do you think that it's behind them and in 2021 it's kind of a clean slate? We dealt with it last year. Or do you think they're still going to deal with some retaliation in 2021?
Yeah, I think they're going to deal. I mean, here's the thing. We actually had this conversation, at the beginning of the truncated season, that are they going to get targeted? And actually, I think that they actually got targeted less than they probably would have in an otherwise full season. Now the full season's here. I mean, you get your, 162 games. I mean, they're going to get, they're going to get their lickings. And guess what? I think the Houston Astros need to just mentally get over it. I mean, let the teams do their thing. They're gonna hit you. They're gonna hit you. You deserve it. Just take it. Take your lickings and move on. I think that's gonna be the key for them this year, is to just block out that bad juju, I guess we'll say. Dusty Baker, like you said, I think I speak for everyone when saying they're pretty impressive that they made it as far as they did in the postseason. I mean, they came in as a wild card, I believe, and they beat the A's. I mean, and I thought they were going to move on to the World Series again. I mean, there was a point where we all thought that at one point in the series. So I think that they just need to battle the mental side of it and just get over it. And they themselves, I think, are over it and can be over it. Whether the league is not, or whether the other teams are not, fuck them. Who cares? Like, just deal with what you can control, and you can control your own destiny at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see that part of it. Fans are expected to be back in some capacity for 2021, so that's definitely going to have some impact. Mm-hmm. Also, there was one team that really didn't get, their chance at retaliation in 2020. The Dodgers did, the A's did, but one other team that has a lot of beef with this team are the New York Yankees.
Yes.
They probably got as much bad luck with that as the Dodgers and the A's did. They didn't play them at all in 2020. They're going to be playing them a few times in 2021. They also will play the Dodgers again in 2020 as well. So we'll see if anything happens. So that'll be very interesting to follow. But those New York Yankees matchups, and the Yankees ain't afraid to get dirty. Like, let's be honest. If there's a team that's going to play hardball, it's the New York Yankees. So
Definitely.
we will see what happens with that. And do you think that this 2021 season, with this core, they got a lot of free agents after this season, is this their last chance to win a World Series title with this particular core intact?
Yeah. I mean, when Ainge came in early, 2015, right? Window was huge. Window is very small now. I mean, this is it. I mean, let's look at this. A handful of players, and this is to your WAR stats, your WAR stats. A handful of players who had a positive WAR and made positive contributions to the team are still on the team. The others have gone. The others have been either traded away or have been left astray. That's position players, and only the pitchers are in the same boat. On top of that, if you look at the Baseball Prospectus ranks the program minor leagues or farm systems, they've went from 8th to 26th over a year. That's not a good sign. It doesn't really help that you do so well. I mean, regardless of the scandal, I mean, we can all agree that they were still a good team. When you're a good team, you give up picks. You start to make moves that get you to that next level, that get you to the depths of the postseason. You're not really worried about the future as much. This is what happens. This is just part of it. As you said, there's a lot of free agents coming in. Here, let's look at this. They first of all, they lost their 2020 and 2021 first round picks. So your future is in the hands of your farm system, which is looking pretty shitty right now. Your top prospect was a first round pick in 2016, and he's struggling in the minors. The other three first round picks are either traded away or still in the minors. I mean, that's not a recipe for future success. So you guys have a very small window. You better take advantage of the very small window you have, because it's gone. It's gone.
Trayden, you turned into a real good baseball guy there. That was a great take. Delving deep into this Astros very grim future.
Yep.
I don't think a lot of people are upset about that. So we will see how they do in 2020. But I agree with you. I think this is pretty much their last chance to really go for it. So we'll see. So good. I guess good luck to the Astros in 2021. I guess I just will say it just to say it. All right, moving on to the third place finishers, which is a little bit surprising of a finish for 2020. The Seattle Mariners. They finished with a 27-33 record. Their off season, not very busy. They did sign relief pitcher Ken Giles, who at once was one of the best closers in baseball. He had Tommy John surgery, so he won't be playing in 2021, but he is a current member of the Mariners. That's really all they did in the offseason. Their projected rotation will be Marco Gonzalez, James Paxton, Yessi Kikuchi, Justice Sheffield, awesome fucking baseball name, Chris Flexton, and Justin Dunn. Their projected lineup: catcher Tom Murphy, first baseman Evan White, second baseman Dylan Moore, shortstop JP Crawford, third baseman Kyle Seager, outfielders Mitch Haniger, Kyle Lewis, and Jared Klenick, and the DH is Ty France. The bad is this team, despite kind of a successful 2020, is still in rebuild mode. Pitching wise, they got a couple. Marco Gonzalez, I think, is pretty solid. He's going to give you a lot of good innings. James Paxton, is pretty solid as well. But past that, they don't really have a whole lot. So they need a lot of pitching help. The good, a lot of exciting young talent. They got the reigning Rookie of the Year, Kyle Lewis, on their team. Mitch Haniger, if he's healthy, is, I think, one of the most complete players in baseball. They got some exciting talent on this team. So Eric, I want to ask you, do you agree that this team a lot of people are projecting them to take a step back in 2021? And do you think that next year, 2022, will be the first year that they'll be serious contenders for a playoff spot?
They will be taking a step back according to Fangraphs, they have a 1.7% chance of making the playoffs this year. I mean, what the fuck? They're gonna be bad.
Orioles have 0, dude.
Huh?
The Baltimore Orioles 0% in the playoffs, just so you know.
Well, apparently last year the Miami Marlins had 0.7% chance that they made it. They're like the one team to prove this Fangraphs
You're saying there's a
stat
chance.
wrong. Huh?
So you're saying there's a chance.
So I'm saying there's a 1.7% chance this year. They're pitching. So here last year, their stats pitching for them, second to last in the American League in home runs allowed, 13th out of 15th in hits allowed, 13th out of 15th in batting average, and they just aren't that good. So you you see, I mean, you just went over it. They didn't really pick up many guys in the offseason. Their pitching was pretty bad last year. Maybe it improves a little bit this year, but I don't see them doing too well on the other side of the ball. I think they're going to pull a classic Mariners of go on the 5 or 6 win streak, and people are like, "Oh, the Mariners are hot right now," and then everything just crumbles and they fall down the mountain from there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a long season for the Mariners, but I think they're up and coming. They're going to have to definitely prove, especially on the pitching side. Prospect wise, they do have a pretty good pool. I think they're in the top 10 farm system wise. So we'll see, but they're definitely going to have to also have some, free agent signings and that kind of thing to make them really competitive. But if you look at the way that this division is going, as we mentioned, the Astros, their window is very much closing. We could see this Mariners team, I think in the future very soon, kind of make a run with kind of how this division is kind of shifting pretty soon here. Moving on to the Los Angeles Angels, the moment you've all been waiting for. In 2020, they finished fourth with a 26-34 record. Offseason, they were pretty busy. First of all, they fired their general manager, Billy Epler, and hired Perry Minasian, and he got to work. He traded for outfielder Dexter Fowler, traded for starting pitcher Alex Cobb, signed starting pitcher Jose Quintana, signed veteran catcher and World Series champion Kurt Suzuki. They also traded for shortstop Jose Iglesias and traded for relief pitcher Recio Iglesias. So did a lot of work there. Their projected rotation, good old Angels pitching staff: Andrew Heaney, Dylan Bundy, Jose Quintana, Griffin Canning, Shohei Ohtani, and Alex Cobb. Their lineup will be catcher Max Stassi, first baseman Albert Pujols, second baseman David Fletcher, shortstop Jose Iglesias, third baseman Anthony Rendon. The outfielders Justin Upton, Dexter Fowler, and some guy named Mike Trout. And their DH will be Shohei Ohtani. The bad, again, the pitching. We say it every year. They just have a lot of question marks. I think they are a little bit better this year, but is Dylan Bundy for real? He had a great 2020. Can this guy sustain his success and roll it over to 2021? Can Ohtani and Canning stay healthy? Will Quintana and Cobb, these two veteran, players, will they contribute? Will they actually provide a lot of wins and starts for this team? The other I think looming bad thing for this team is there's a lot of pressure to get Mike Trout in the playoffs before his prime is over and the clock is ticking. He's still very young, but this team still has a long way to go to be real contenders. The good, at least you have Mike Trout, best player in baseball. MLB.com ranked him the #1 player in baseball for the 6th year in a row. Offense will once again be great on paper. And this division, I don't think there's a window to win this division this year for the Angels. I don't think it's a very strong division. So you have that going for you. So we have 3 Angels fans on the podcast, James, Traden, and Eric. So I'm going to ask you each a question about the Angels. So James, I'm going to start off with you. In your opinion, a lot of predictions have this Angels team finishing second after a 4th place finish last year. In your opinion, why do you think that a lot of prediction systems are having the Angels finish so high?
Just a heads up, I do have a lot to say about this. I love the Angels. It's literally the only baseball team I watch, the only team I've ever watched for baseball. So I have a lot to say. You mentioned a lot of additions that the Angels brought in, and those are all great. But I think you forgot to mention the fact that they've developed really well as well. Look at the emergence of Jared Walsh and David Fletcher. David Fletcher had the highest batting average for a long time in the MLB. Like, he ended up with a 319. He actually finished 17th in AL MVP voting. Fun fact for somebody that you 17th, that's crazy. Right down there, but it's on the list. Also, Jared Walsh. I talked about it at the intro. He's going to supplant Albert Pujols for first base. He came in out of nowhere and got hot. In the month of September, just the month of September alone, there's only 3 games out of 21 games that he didn't get a hit. That also include 9 multi-hit games and 9 home runs in just September. If we played a full season and he was able to build upon that in September and continue to work towards it, who knows what kind of numbers he would have gotten. Like, he had the momentum and he was doing great. Additionally, they added Dexter Fowler, like you had mentioned before. He's better than Joe Adell at this moment. And don't get it twisted. Joe Adell is a great prospect and he has potential to be a really good baseball player, but he needs one more year in the minors. He did not do well in the majors last year. And Dexter Fowler can get on base. He has a 223 batting average over his career. He's proven, he's done it, he's good. And the additions that you mentioned before, how that's the biggest question mark. I think that the Angels aren't getting pitchers to strike you out. They're getting the type of pitchers that will eat up innings so that their bullpen can come in and finish the game. All the meantime, relying on their offense to get them ahead and having their closers close the game. It's not about keeping their opponents to 0 runs. It's about outscoring them. And they brought in pitchers that eat up innings. Jose Quintana, you didn't see a lot of it last year because he had this freak injury with a wine glass, but he typically goes like 7 to 8 innings a game. Same thing with Alex Cobb. They eat up innings. They're not known for striking people out. They just take a lot of time. And that allows your closers to come in, finish the game, and your offense should do well. So in total, I believe that they have people have them finishing second because of all they built together. It's not just a plug and play kind of thing. It's more the culture that they've developed with their team, and how that team has come together through tough times, and now they want to win.
I like it. I mean, I hope they do well. You know, I've said there for a long time. You know, I want to see Mike Trout in the playoffs. I want to see these 2 LA teams hopefully meet in a World Series. I think that'd be freaking awesome. Trade-in, I talk about it every year, how this Angels, they just can't find good pitching. They have, I would say, a decent starting staff. Do you think they have enough pitching to be a postseason contender in 2021?
Postseason contender? Probably not.
Yeah.
Sorry, boys. Just there's too many question marks. I can't say for sure that we're gonna have it. I don't know how I follow up James. That was incredible. Like I'm not even gonna come close to that. But look, the Angels starters had a 5.52 ERA, which was ranked second to last in the majors. That is not very good, clearly. Ohtani was hurt, and he hasn't played very much over his time, you know, on the Angels. But obviously he's going to be a big X factor. I think that if he is actually healthy, like they say he is, he underwent this, crazy workout routine, and he's back with no restrictions. We may see some improvement there. Like you said, is Dylan Bundy for real? I mean, he had a 3.29 ERA, he was the best of that rotation, but who knows what you're going to get if he's going to continue that. Canning did step forward, but he needs to keep stepping forward. I will say that, Cobb and Quintana, as you mentioned, I think they have played under Madden in the past, and they did pretty damn good. So maybe they get a little bit of a resurgence being back with an old manager. I think it's kind of a wait and see. I mean, because, the manager, the general manager, and fans and non-fans alike, like yourself, have been, there's an issue with the rotation. There's an issue with the rotation. We say it every freaking year. How can I say that they're going to have the pitching to be a postseason contender? I don't even know if they're going to make the damn playoffs. I don't know what I'm going to get. So to James's point, I think he's got a point though. I mean, maybe the pitching is just good enough to get their offense, on the field and making them win games. But as we've seen in terms of contention, you need both. You need to be able to pitch and you need to be able to play offense. So I don't know how I can say they can be contender when I don't even know if they can make the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of things have to go right with this current pitching staff as assembled for them to be, I would say, a contending pitching staff. But they're needing more help, and they can get help. Like I said, if the Angels get off to a hot start, they can always make a trade, for a guy, that can help them, reach that level. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, and as you mentioned, just a lot of question marks there. They're still not there on the pitching side for me. Eric, you got Shohei Ohtani as your background. I know you're a big Shohei fan. He has, from spring training from day one, Joe Madden said Shohei Ohtani is full go, pitching and hitting, which is really exciting for baseball. And hopefully we can see that. Hopefully he can stay healthy enough to be able to play a full 2021 season. So I want to ask you, what is more likely that we're going to see? Is it more likely that Shohei will hit 20 home runs or that he'll make 20 starts as a pitcher?
Well, as you can see right here, he's swinging a bat. But also, I just think he's a better hitter than he is a pitcher. Last year, he did, way better hitting than pitching, of course. I remember you guys, let us know about that, as you would as a Dodgers fan. But I think he's more likely to have 20 home runs. I don't think they should let him pitch anymore. I think he needs to be a designated hitter for them. Usually, like the things he does well for them is to get base hits and home runs. And think about it, for him pitching, it's gone bad 2 out of 2 times. So 100% bad when he's pitching. Led to elbow injuries both times. Keep him as a hitter. Keep him productive. He's going to get more home runs. Don't let him pitch. I bet you James could tell you 10 more things he doesn't like about Joe Madden. That's probably one thing I'll say with Joe Madden is just keep Ohtani as a hitter. You're better off with that. Develop your pitchers. Develop Ohtani to be in one position and designate him for that one position. Don't let him think he's both.
I don't think James likes that take.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. Go for it, James.
So, okay. Last season, he had 2 starts, and they were both terrible. But I believe that was a function of a non-training camp, a reduced spring training. He was coming off of Tommy John. Like, you can't expect him to go in there and do well coming off of Tommy John without having any sort of regular off-season program. That in of itself, that did him a disservice. He should have been brought in there. Let's start him as like a middle reliever. Give him an inning or 2 every couple of games and work his way up. Don't put him in there to start and have all these expectations for him to do well when he hasn't pitched in a year. Coming off of Tommy John with a brand new, like his body got bigger. His first season versus his third, his body, it's a lot more control. There's a lot more nuance to throwing than you might think. The Angels messed him up by doing that. If he shows flashes of what he did his first season, he was throwing like an ace his first season. He was striking out people like crazy. He didn't play in as many games because he was still in his first season. But the fact of the matter is, if he can come anywhere close to that, he'll be a damn good pitcher. And the Angels will gladly have him in that 6th spot in the rotation, or the 5th spot. I don't know. Is it 5 or 6? What the last spot is?
Yeah, usually.
He can beat out Alex. Yeah, like I think he should stay. Give him another chance. You can't base it off of one season where he was coming off Tommy John and didn't have a full off season.
I'd say just keep him in the bullpen during the game, warming up the whole time. Just keep him warm, and just have him keep hitting though. But they have great dynamic warm-ups, right, Tyler? And you see him warming up for 15 minutes.
They should.
Just keep him warm.
Yeah.
Let him. Yeah. Just let him hit. Just put him in if you run out of pitchers, like that happened some random game last year. I think when you run out of pitchers, put him in.
Can I ask a question for for a dumb fan who doesn't know anything. If he starts pitching, can he still be a DH in the same game?
Yes.
Cool.
That's what the AL does.
We might have found a solution.
They just won't have
Or the
a DH.
NL does.
But usually, I believe that I could be wrong about this. Maybe Alex, I don't know if you know, but I believe that the days that Shohei started, he didn't hit.
Yeah, they did it was he would start. He starts on Sundays. He would not play as a DH at all Monday and sometimes Tuesday, and then he'd hit Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then wouldn't play Saturday. So like even if he does do both, you still only get him max 5 days out of the week, which is kind of a downfall when he's you're probably your third best player.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting experiment. We haven't really had a true two-way player like this in a very, very long time. It's very hard to do. What Shohei is attempting to do is very difficult. But I agree with James. Like, I think they need to give him one more shot at it. I think this 2021 season he'll be in good shape. Hopefully it goes well. I do agree with Eric. I think 20 home runs is probably more likely. If I was a betting man, I'd probably put it on the home run side, not the pitching side, because he just hasn't really proven that he's durable pitching. But he could break those barriers in 2021, and I hope he does. I think it's a super exciting possibility to see a guy be a top pitcher and a top hitter on the same team. I think that's awesome. So hopefully Shohei he bounces back and has a good year. All right, moving on to the Texas Rangers. Finished with the worst record in the American League last year, 22-38. In the offseason, didn't do a whole lot. They traded for outfielder Chris Davis, and they signed outfielder David Dahl. Their projected rotation is Kyle Gibson, Jordan Lyles, Dane Dunning, Eric Velasquez, and Kyle Cody. Projected lineup: catcher Jose Trevino, first baseman Nate Lowe, second baseman Nick Solak, shortstop Isaiah Kiner Falafa, third baseman Rougned Odor, outfielders Joey Gallo, Willie Calhoun, and David Dahl, and the DH is Chris Davis. The bad, lots. It's full on rebuild times. There's really it's a rough time down there in Texas, in a lot of ways right now. The good, you got a nice new ballpark at least, so that's good. Alex, surprise question for you that I didn't prepare you for.
Okay.
One of the names in the rotation is not a real pitcher for the Texas Rangers. Which one was it?
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
The ones you just said?
Yeah, do you want me to?
Yeah, same again. I recognize at least three of them.
Kyle Gibson, Jordan Lyles, Dane Dunning, Eric Velasquez, and Kyle Cody.
It's one of the last two. I'm going to go with Eric Velasquez.
Damn it. You're right.
Boy!
Eric Velasquez is the minor league coordinator for the Boston Red Sox. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Just got it. So good job. You passed the test.
Thank you.
So my actual question to you, and it's going to be simple.
Yeah.
Does this team finish with the worst record in the American League for a second consecutive season?
Yes. Just to be upfront. I mean, when you look at the other teams that were poor last year, the Tigers, the Royals, the Orioles, the Red Sox, you expect these teams to be better. The Angels, they're going to be better. I talked about the Royals last week. I think the Royals are going to be better. The Tigers are a young up and coming team. The Orioles almost squeaked into a playoff spot last year. It's a long time before this Rangers team is going to be any good. But yeah, they're probably going to finish last.
Yeah, it's rough.
There's not much else to say.
Yeah, there really isn't. So I wanted to move on from Texas Rangers because it's kind of a boring game to talk about. So Alex, I wanted to finish up with the American League West here, and just I want to get your thoughts on this the division as a whole. I think it's going to be kind of between three teams. But I want to know your opinion of it.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a competitive division within itself. I think the other two American League divisions are much better, and they are going to end up beating up on the American League West when they, play these teams. It definitely feels like it's kind of, I would say, three-headed monster, but I don't really think any of these teams are monsters. I don't really think any of them are actual World Series contenders. The Angels have a lot to prove. While we're doing that whole Shohei thing, I've figured out what they should do with him, they should have him be an opener. Not why save his arm. It's kind of like James's idea. Use him for one inning, get the Tampa Bay, and they've been successful at it. Joe Madden used to manage the Tampa Bay Rays. It's all coming together. And then if they want, it's only an inning, and he can still DH later in the game if they really want him to.
Question.
Yes.
Openers aren't limited to just one inning. Like if they just rock that first inning, they can do 2 to 3. Correct.
Yeah, this is the opener thing is just a fake made up thing the Rays started doing. There's no like actual baseball rule against it. If you want, like you see it in spring training, you can have a different pitcher go every single inning if you want. There's no other than the three batter minimum rule now. That's the only thing. They have to face it minimum 3 batters.
Right.
That's it. So yeah. I mean, he could face the first 3, strike him out on 9 pitches,
an immaculate inning, really?
It could happen. You don't know.
Yeah.
Or he could face the first 3 batters, walk 2 of them, and give a 3-run bomb, which seems more likely.
Definitely did before.
Yeah. So I think, if anything going back to the AL West in general, there's a lot of interesting players. There's a lot of interesting storylines. And I just think the other AL West or the AL divisions are better overall than this West.
Yeah, I would agree with you. So I will sum it up going around the horn, and I want to see everyone's final standings for the AL West. I've got the top 3 teams separated by 2 games. I think it's going to be really close. They're all going to beat up on each other, and as Alex mentioned, other teams in other leagues are going to beat up on them. So I actually have the Oakland A's winning this one with 90 wins. The Houston Astros will finish second with 89 wins, and the Angels will finish third with 88. But it can be any of those 3. I think it's going to be a really interesting division to watch. And then the Mariners will finish 4th, and the Rangers will finish 5th. So, Trayden, let's start with you. What's your final division standings?
Astros, Angels, A's, Mariners, Rangers.
James.
What Trayden said.
Copy paste. Eric.
Copy paste that as well.
God damn it. Alex, got anything different?
Yeah, I'm going to go different. I'm going the Astros are going to win the division. I think those offensive players back bounce from a shitty year. So Astros, A's, Angels, Mariners, Rangers.
Gotcha. All right. And real quick to wrap it all up, the American League up in a nice little bow here. We're going to go around the horn one more time, and we're going to do the final playoff picture. So we're going to go our 3 division winners and plus 2 wild cards. So which 6 teams are going to represent the American League? Sorry, 5 teams are going to represent the American League in the postseason. So I'll start off. So to kind of recap my the division winners in the East, I got the Yankees. In the Central, I got the Twins. And in the West, I got the Oakland A's. And my first wild card spot will be the Chicago White Sox, and my second wild card spot will be the Toronto Blue Jays. So I'll go same order. Trayden, what do you got?
East Yankees, Central Twins, West Astros, wild card 1 Rays, and wild card 2 Indians.
James.
Astros, Twins, Blue Jays, Angels, and Yankees.
Eric.
East Yankees, Central Twins, West Astros, wild card 1 Angels, wild card 2 Blue Jays.
Wow, no White Sox.
Nah.
Yeah, you missed the Central, so I get it. Alex, what do you got?
East Yankees, Central White Sox, West Angels, wild card 1 is the Twins, wild card 2 the Blue Jays.
There you have it, folks. That is the American League. We'll be getting in the National League next week. Thanks, everyone, for chipping in your thoughts there. That was a good segment, especially with the Angels. Eric, that's all I got.
Yeah, America, fuck yeah, everybody. Baseball is coming back in 6 days. We can't wait. We love when sports return. I feel like every time a sport ends, like a sport has been coming back pretty fast with all this COVID virus nonsense.